Hello. So I'm Milan, and today I'm joined by Ankeeta. Thank you for joining me. So we're going to talk through a few different topics today. Hopefully it'll just flow. But yeah, could you start by telling me a little bit about yourself, like your childhood, sort of where you grew up?
Yeah, I kind of grew up all around the world. My dad's a sailor, so I spent the first 7 years of my life just traveling around the world. It was brilliant. Like, imagine completely new and different view every morning from a ship. You know,
How big was it?
they were called bulk carriers, so they're quite big. I think they're measured in tons, but I don't remember. But they were huge to me as a, I don't know, 4-year-old.
Yeah.
I could see the deck of the ship was miles long.
Working then? So he was working.
Yeah, he was a chief engineer. So so the chief and the captain are the same level. The captain takes care of the navigation, admin side of things, whereas the engineers look after.
Got it.
The big.
When you told me before, I had always imagined like you were in your private yacht and you guys were just sailing around the world. I didn't realize he was an engineer. Okay.
No, not that kind of sailing.
Got it.
Merchant ships.
Got it. Okay.
I think it's more fun because you're not a cruise ship, so everyone's not there to have a big jolly. But at the same time, you're not alone. It's not just 4 or 5 people on a sailboat, you know, that you get bored of each other very quickly.
Yeah, which is what I pictured.
Yeah, no, my sister and I, we had a really good, interesting childhood because back in those days, the ships weren't as fast and technology wasn't, you know, you couldn't load and offload ships as quickly as you can now. And so we got lots of time at the ports that we went to. So whichever countries we visited, we'd get a good 10 days to look around and sort of meet people and just see the sights and that kind of stuff. So no, it was great. So yeah, my first 7 years of my life, just bumming around the world.
Did any particular place stand out to you, or just too young to?
Some of the places are too young, but I have this distinct memory of being in Alaska, and it's a lady who came up to us in a supermarket because she'd never seen Indians. But she was a teacher in a local school, I think, and she wanted my mum to come and talk about life in India or where India is, and so the kids would get sort of an idea about these faraway exotic lands.
Yeah.
And I remember she came on board the ship to sign some documents and stuff like that because I think there's some sort of admin around going off the ship and visiting places. And my sister and I just kept jumping up and down going, we want to see Eskimos, we want to see Eskimos, we want to see Eskimos. And she had
Inuit.
I know. And she had these really long nails.
Oh, what, the teacher?
Yeah, and they were red. And I remember that as a child.
Interesting.
And she said, oh, you can meet my children. They're half Inuit.
Oh.
And so we got so excited we thought we were going to an igloo.
Yeah. Oh.
This is like, it's just a house.
Oh, that's nice. I didn't know any of that.
No, cool. So that was one of my favorite memories. And just when there'd be really big storms and the ship would roll in pitch and everybody would be worried, but my sister and I would fill up the bathroom and sit in and watch it splash.
Really?
So I never get seasick.
Okay. Oh, that's really good. I don't know if I do. I think I have like anxiety around getting seasick.
I've been on tiny boats in Portugal watching other people get seasick and just thinking, nah, don't feel anything.
That's good. Yeah, that's handy. Very handy. Okay.
Yeah. And
so after the boat?
After the boat, we went to live in India until I was about 20, 21. And then I moved to Denmark. And then the Netherlands.
Were you studying in Denmark? Or
yeah.
Just working? Okay.
Studying in Denmark and then studied in the Netherlands and Amsterdam. Imagine going to university in Amsterdam. That was fun.
Okay.
And then moved to Wales and then London and then Oxford and then back to London and all over London. So I guess always on the move somehow.
And what particularly brought you to the UK?
Yeah, it was just part of my education. I was part of the Erasmus program, and the last year of it was in the UK.
Okay.
I always, I think from the moment I set foot in Amsterdam, I had decided I was going to live there.
Okay.
Because that's where I felt like I kind of found myself and grew up without any influence from anyone around me. So I was still quite young. I was
Nice.
21, 22.
Finding independence.
Yeah, and just what you're about and what kind of stuff you really identify with, because India was always a difficult place to grow up because I never quite felt at home there. I think we'd grown up so boho that I think conformity didn't really, it felt very uncomfortable.
And was that more like school-led conformity or just all of society?
Just all of society.
Okay.
Just what you're expected to do, you're told to do.
So growing up on the boat then, like you didn't, I guess, yeah, you wouldn't necessarily have been exposed to societal norms or expectations necessarily, yeah, and you'd hop from country to country, so nothing really sticks.
Yeah, and I think that's always been my thing. I think home has always been people rather than a place. So it was me and my mom and my sister and my dad, and I had everything I needed. It didn't matter. The place was irrelevant.
Yeah.
It was just interesting because it was new all the time.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, that's why when I can call a lot of places home, but at the same time, I don't know where home is.
Yeah. Yeah, I relate to that because I think I grew up in Canada, but both my parents were not from Canada. So I never really felt rooted there. And I've now spent more time living in the UK than I have living in Canada. Have I? Almost.
Yeah, I've definitely spent more time living in Europe than I have in India. So
yeah. And I think there's like a certain sense of, I don't know, security from feeling like you don't belong to a place. I don't know if it's security or like escapism, but anyway, something like that.
Yeah, I think it's, I don't know, I have itchy feet. Now I suddenly feel like I've been here too long. You know, I need to be moving on to something different.
Yeah.
And I had that feeling about London for a very long time because I ended up in London. It wasn't a plan to be here.
Okay.
But now, and I would run away and travel a lot whenever I got time. I still do, I think. But now, every now and then, I find myself missing things about London. Whether it's the tube or whether it's just the diversity of it.
Yeah. Diversity for sure. And your friends.
And my friends, yeah. And now, yeah, I think a couple of years ago there was an opportunity to move to the Netherlands, and I suddenly thought, no. You know, all this while I'd been dying to move back to Amsterdam, and there was an opportunity. I just thought, actually, this is home. So that was a weird feeling that dawned, just thinking, oh, actually, I have a life here. I have a network here. I have roots in a way here. So particularly in our discussion today, we were going to talk about kind of your journey, your health transformation journey. So I, as mentioned in my last episode, started studying for nutritional therapy and naturopathy in, I guess it was 2010. And you came to me in 2018 because I was sort of working, taking some clients, I guess you could say, in nutritional therapy consultations. And tell me a bit about what made you want to come and ask for some support for a plan, I guess. I think I was just not feeling great. My body just wasn't. And I think I'd had a baby 2 years before, and I'd gone back to work, and it was full on. And I think I was vegan at that time as well. And I was vegan for a long time.
How long?
About two and a half years or so, I think.
By 2018, it had been 2 years, or just all together?
Altogether. By 2018, it must have been a year and a half or something.
Okay.
I was feeling really tired and fatigued, and my stomach wasn't feeling great. I think cutting out dairy had really helped.
Yeah.
But again, I think it was just general malaise. I had, I think, just constant body ache.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll read a bit.
I can't remember what it was, but I was just like genuinely just feeling a bit.
Yeah. Well, you came, so usually in a consultation, I'll ask for 2 main symptoms that somebody wants to look at. So you had symptom 1 was chronic fatigue and joint pain, and symptom 2 was immune strength. And then just summarizing, when we went through the full consultation, I concluded that your systems, particularly under stress, was your endocrine system. And you'd mentioned like high stress from your job, lots of caffeine, and very light sleep, not feeling rested generally, and a certain amount of medications, and just not actually feeling very happy, feeling very ambitious. And then your gut. Yeah, we mentioned your vegan diet. Your protein was actually fairly low. Simple carbohydrates were fairly high. Yeah. Sugar intake was fairly high, and your veg and fruit was actually fairly low. And yeah, you felt like you had chronic IBS.
Yeah.
And I think the last system was your immune system, which was also suffering. I guess you were feeling ill often? Were you getting sick a lot?
Yeah, but also I had a child in nursery, so I just think I wasn't coping very well. I think I was very, very worn out.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
And I also had a very, very demanding job.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember. It was very stressful.
I think all my jobs were very demanding until I started working with you. And now we work together. So it's just, I think this is probably my least demanding job that I've had in my life.
That's good. Well, maybe the universe is telling you to take it easy.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, so some of the things that I put into your plan was to consider cutting out coffee for a little while. Definitely replacing simple carbs with complex carbs, including protein with every meal, trying to have 4 servings of fruit and veg a day, also having 4 to 6 different colors of fruit and veg a day if possible, but always including dark leafy greens. Definitely trying to look at removing wheat and dairy from your diet. I've also had to do the same. Trying to avoid alcohol at least for a short period of time for 8 weeks. Increasing your water intake. Possibly having a 12 to 13 hour fast through the night just to let the system reset. Trying to get a good sleep routine to help with the sleep. So trying to be in bed by 10:30. Practicing sort of winding down, and they call that sleep hygiene. And then ways to look at like relaxing, like having a bath 3 times a week with Epsom salts. Trying low intensity exercises for 6 weeks. And
was I already exercising quite a lot?
Yeah, I think you already had like your trainer who you love.
Yeah.
And then I also suggested trying to get outside for 2 hours a week for the next 8 weeks, I think. Yeah.
Which all of that happens now.
Yeah. Okay, so well, let's talk about, I mean, how did it feel when you got the plan? Was it like a bit much, overwhelming?
Yeah, I didn't look at that plan. I didn't do that plan.
I mean, I
for a long time.
I know I said.
I think it was more like going from 0 to like 16 in it. I think it felt like a lot of changes at that time, and also I think just having a child under 5 was just it was difficult to carve out that time for myself, really. But yeah, all of that is happening today. So it's been a bit of a journey.
Yeah.
I think in terms of movement and exercising, it's always stuck to that. But now I have a dog. This is after the pandemic. Everybody works from home, so you know, dropping a child off to school and picking them up means you get to go out. You know, the morning sunshine. I almost very rarely, almost never eat processed food anymore.
That's amazing.
Make my own bread.
I
got super into fermenting food.
Which is very exciting.
Well,
I think like, so the main takeaway that I would like from this episode is realizing that is a journey. And I remember I said that to you when I gave you your plan. Like, it's, you know, I don't expect you to take on all of these things, and for sure even just 40% of them would be a great improvement. But yeah, it's a process, I think, in like slowly, you know, it's big changes, because it's like, you know, where you shop or how you shop or the amount of money you spend or the time you spend in the kitchen. Those are big things. But it's amazing for me anyways to see like how, you know, it took time, but you did pick them up. Or I don't know, like, do you think it, you know, like, you must have read it, like, did it kind of just sink in and then slowly, I guess, new habits formed or new interests you picked up? Or maybe did it come just more organically, like you kind of forgot about the plan and slowly things kind of started to enter your life? I don't know.
Yeah, I think I kind of forgot about the plan, and then, but I think I wanted to feel better anyway, so I wanted to do the right things. And so, you know, when you said take these supplements for magnesium at night and things like that, so those things I started doing. Drinking more water. Like, over a period of time, the alcohol intake has come down anyway. In 2018, I was mid-30s. So, so I was still very young. So I think I was still going out a bit. Now I'm just kind of, I think I've developed a lot more respect for my body in terms of the vessel I live in and what it needs to thrive.
That's amazing.
And that's again been a journey to sort of go on. But also you a lot of people feel like they can't, like I felt this, that I can't do all these things because it's time consuming. It takes up a lot of space in your head. But I think over a period of time, I know exactly how to make my sourdough. I leave it at night and go to bed. Like, I just toss it up, and okay, it's not an artisan loaf of bread. But it's a sourdough. It's a sourdough. I know what's gone into it. There isn't any, you know, enhancing, bulking up type of stuff. But it's sort of, it's just kind of, it's like these tiny habits that you build up. It still does it. These tiny habits that you build up, and then it's like you build expertise in these things, and then they don't take so long anymore.
Yeah, that's very true. I guess it's almost like a buildup of, I mean, you could say good habits, but I feel like it's almost like a buildup of, like, it's like a wealth, you know? It's like a wealth that, you know, you've got your herbs and your grains and your stuff in your cupboard, and, like, you know, mentally you already know how to put together a healthy meal. Or
and I think it helps being Indian, because like most Indian meals are very, very heavy in veg anyway, because most Indian people are vegetarian. The large population of it is. And just having been in the kitchen with my grandma and having been vegan and having to think about what I'm going to eat, I would default to just Indian meals because they're easy. Just take out the paneer or the ghee, and then it's vegan, but there's lots of veg and stuff. So in that sense, it's very easy for me to put together an Indian meal, which has got lots of different veg in it and things like that. So So that practice was already there. And then you start to then experiment with other things and start bringing in more nuts and seeds and other stuff, and I just feel better.
That's good.
I went to India and I had so much white rice there, and it took me at least 10 days to feel better once I got back. I knew I wasn't going to feel great eating white rice.
Yeah. Is it really hard to find, like, if you're eating out in India, brown rice?
Yeah.
Okay.
Even at home, everybody eats white rice because the texture goes with the curries and it tastes better.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
But it made me feel really sick.
Yeah.
I constantly felt like my stomach was hurting, it was bloated.
Really?
I just kind of I cannot eat white rice anymore.
Interesting.
It's very funny how my body's like completely changed.
Yeah. It's such an easy way, I think, to like try to encourage getting fiber. You know? Like, because without the brown rice, there's no fiber in white rice. It's literally just starch. It's like a simple carb. But like having the brown rice, it's got that husk, so there's the fiber content to it, which is obviously such an important part of just making our gut operate well. And
I think that's probably why Indians have such a propensity to diabetes, because white rice seems to be what people eat a lot. I've always wondered, why is it that Indians are so genetically susceptible to diabetes, but it must be the diet.
And it must have, like, I wonder when it changed, like, because before processing you couldn't get white rice, so I wonder how long ago everybody was having brown rice.
So there's like red rice and parboiled rice, and there are different kinds of rice. Like basmati rice, which most people eat here, I don't think I ever ate it growing up. You always ate these sort of short grain parboiled rice where the starch had already been taken out.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it wasn't that bad, but I don't think nutritionally it was dense either.
Yeah.
But people worked a lot. People worked in the fields. So I think it didn't matter that they ate rice and potatoes or whatever, but they were physically very active and constantly doing laborious things, which then I guess stopped happening. I mean,
but I'm guessing it was hundreds of years ago when everybody would have been having brown rice. I don't know. I should look that up.
Yeah, but I also think that diabetes is probably a middle class problem in India.
Oh, okay.
It's a very different. The disease manifests very differently in India, because the more affluent people get, the less they move and the more they eat.
True.
Whereas if you look at the working class in India, they're still very very, very malnourished. So they're not heavy.
Yeah.
They have other issues.
Yeah.
But it's not diabetes.
It's not diabetes. Interesting. Okay. So also we mentioned that you were vegan and that you moved away from that. So I think I find that a really interesting. I mean, I will fully admit that I encouraged you to move away from it.
I just got ill from vitamin D deficiency, which, because of my skin color, means I can't make any. And here, I don't get the level of sun as I would in my natural habitat.
Yeah.
But I mean, I still stick to mostly vegan food even now.
Yeah. It's a really
and I try to live like an ethical vegan, so I don't buy products that are tested on animals. I try and not buy leather shoes. Every now and then I feel like I begin to feel like achy, and that's when I will eat eggs and fish and meat, but I don't think I eat it very regularly. And I try and get my family not to eat. I mean, but also the kind of meat, like it will be organic, it will be high welfare, it won't be. But again, not everybody can afford that.
No, I know for sure. I think, well, yeah, I raise it because I think, side note, caveat, like,
it didn't work for me. I got it.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean it won't work for other people.
Exactly. Everyone's an individual, for one thing. I think everyone's biology, speaks to it. And I did mention in my previous episode, like, clearly some people have very strong political, spiritual, or climate-related beliefs, and those are really important and valid too. But yeah, I've found for myself that mostly vegetarian, and yeah, at least a few times a week, I operate best when having meat, or eggs and fish. But yeah, so yeah, I think it's important to discuss protein, and I do definitely think you can have, I don't know, I think you can create optimal protein levels on a vegan diet, but I think it takes a lot of work. And saying that, I don't know that it actually does work for every single person. Like I said, everyone's an individual, and some biologies don't absorb as well, like maybe vegan proteins and things like that.
Yeah, I can't claim to be any sort of expert in that. All I know is that I got ill. I went to the doctor. I was told by the GP to go off the vegan diet because I was getting ill. My hair was falling out. Lots of stuff was happening. Yeah, I wanted to stay vegan. I still try and operate like an ethical vegan.
And I think that's very important as well.
In other ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm healthier now than I was. So
which is really important.
My body is not constantly in pain.
Yeah, which is great. So, okay, and some of the things that you're practicing now. So obviously, you said you're making sourdough, and you got into fermenting.
Yes, I love fermenting.
Tell us a bit about fermenting.
I think fermenting is brilliant because it's in one way, it's kind of, I get to create what I want, and I get to preserve food for a longer time. And
how did you get started?
I went to a workshop just before Christmas, I think in December last year, and I think the lady was talking about how actually fermenting is such an ancient thing that humans have been doing for a very long time. We haven't had refrigerators. We've had seasonal food.
Yeah.
So in a lot of different cultures, when the winter came, just as the first frost would hit, people would start fermenting vegetables and everything to preserve them over winter.
Yeah.
And and in India it was pickling, so it would stop it from rotting, and so fermenting it in oil.
Yeah.
And it was a very social thing. Okay. It's what people would get together and do as a community, because they would, get the local produce, and everybody would sit and ferment and, preserve it for everyone so that they could last the winter. And and we've all been eating fermented foods all the time. The cheese is different cheese. Yogurt is fermented. So as humans, we're really dependent on fermented food. And the more I read about it, it's kind of like the microbiome that lives inside us is such an important part of us being healthy, and an important part of us to thrive. If they thrive, we thrive. So
very true.
Feeding them very one-dimensional processed food makes us ill. So that's because you're not feeding your microbiome the right sort of stuff, and then they start to die out, and then we start to get all these gut related issues, which then fester and become something else.
I often explain it like it's a constant war between the good guys and the bad guys. It's very simple, but like if you're feeding the bad guys, they'll start winning, and if you feed the good guys, they start winning. And
and I don't know where I saw this animation, but I got like super geeky about it and I started reading up about it. And I like the fact that it's like standing up to mass processed, mass produced, ultra processed food. It's like taking a bit of, I don't know, it's empowering to say I'm going to take control of what I eat, because again, I'm not time poor, but I can see how people who are time poor would struggle. But at the same time, it literally takes 15 minutes to make sauerkraut.
That's awesome.
And a cabbage is about £1.
Yeah, that's very true.
And a couple of carrots are about not even £1.
Yeah.
All you need is salt, and if you have any spices that you like, just add it in, leave it for 2 weeks. You have to burp the jars, which is fun.
Yeah.
They have they smell like pots instead of burps. But it's very reassuring. I burp my jars every morning and I'm gonna, that smells reassuring.
Nice. Okay.
It lingers and it's not nice, but but yeah, you feel nice when you eat like I try and add it to my food, and I think because I suffered from such terrible IBS and gut issues all my life, I feel like this really helps.
Yeah.
In that sense, I think just getting the right balance of bacteria in my gut so that I don't get those terrible, excruciating stomach cramps and pain.
Nice. I bet in a few years it'll probably be a much different landscape within your gut, having all of this fermented food.
But also, it's getting really popular.
Yeah.
Everyone's selling you gut shots and all sorts of fermented things. When, you know, I went to an organic shop and looked at sauerkraut there, and it was £12.
Wow. Yeah.
And you can make it for £1.50 maybe.
Amazing. Yeah. We're gonna make some in a little bit. We'll do a bit of a demo. Okay, and I think the last, well, actually, is there anything else in your current, like, I don't know, wellness practices that you think really contributes to feeling healthy and well today, or has been a part of your journey? Is there anything else you want to mention? Maybe the propagating. You're like great at growing stuff, like everything.
Yeah, plants and propagating. Yeah.
I've never seen anybody grow so many things, from like the red pepper that you had in the fridge, or
yeah, I think as a child I always felt very upset about how we were treating the world and each other. And I think I spent my childhood and then subsequent teenage years absolutely enraged with the world, because I thought I didn't have the words or the articulation to understand what it is I was feeling, but I was angry. And I think just propagating, making my own bread, that kind of stuff was just kind of, yeah, I feel like I'm in rhythm with the planet when I do these things.
That's great.
And that's what keeps me going. It just feels like I've started making my own all-purpose home cleaning liquid.
Nice.
Which is eco-friendly, and
nice.
My own toilet cleaner that's not going to pollute.
What did you put in those?
So the toilet cleaner has citric acid, a little bit of eco washing up liquid, some tea tree oil, and something else. I can't remember. Maybe a little bit of surgical spirit.
Did you just find a recipe online?
There's a book by that lady who was in the Bake Off, Nancy.
I don't know. I didn't watch it. Sorry.
I forgot her last name.
Okay. Don't worry.
But you can put a link in your thing. But she's written all these really amazing books. She has 2 or 3 books around green living and making your own eco-friendly stuff.
Yeah.
And you can use ivy leaves as detergent. I put them in a little bag and put them in with you. And they're nature's detergent, and conkers.
Nice.
I haven't tried it, but I will.
Nice. Oh, that's great. Okay. Well, I think that really speaks to the journey, and I'm really glad to see you've found so many practices and habits that really, I don't know, I guess, fill a space in your life and your day that gives you kind of wellness and something.
Yeah, and I think it's also age a little bit and growing up, because I think I didn't have the level of gratitude and appreciation for the human body that I have now. I mean, you know, having had a child, fighting illness, and just thinking about, it's actually such an amazing thing, the human body, and it just needs a little bit of help. It's hardwired to survive.
Yeah, but also to like return to a state of wellness and return to a place of well-being.
Yeah, and I think
true,
just a little bit of help can make a massive difference to, you know, how you feel. If like me, if you've been suffering from chronic pain and chronic illness and fatigue and that kind of stuff, it's just small changes can really make a big difference in just feeling better.
Definitely. Well, you also mentioned age, and I think that was the last thing I definitely wanted to talk about with you, because we are both in our 40s, and I have definitely been feeling a lot of different symptoms and challenges from perimenopause.
Yeah.
And going through my own journey with like trying to get the support as well and the medication and figuring out what works for me. And I know that, and I've been sharing that with you along the way, like, hearing a lot of your symptoms and challenges and thinking that these sound familiar. I mean, I don't know what you want to share, like.
Yeah, I think I'm beginning to show symptoms of perimenopause, and they have been confused with sort of anxiety disorder in the diagnosis, and it's a bit annoying because people don't tend to, either aren't trained enough or don't tend to listen to women and their symptoms much. And there's always like, it feels like the science is way ahead, and the health guidance and the policies are still quite far behind. So you find health practitioners not quite
willing or
not at the level that the current science and scientific thinking is at. So it's difficult to get that.
I think I've definitely found it's really challenging finding a community. Like, I'm not particularly online. I'm not a very social media person. And so just in my place of work or in my friends, like, I guess most of my friends are a few years younger than me. I haven't really had anyone who's just a few years older that I could turn to and speak to about it. And I think that's been, for me, a really big challenge as well.
I think it's also been something that people, I don't know, find difficult to talk about. There's taboo around being open around it. I mean, I've seen this with my male friends or, you know, ex-partners, and they're all kind of just, we don't know how to respond or help or provide any sort of suggestion or sympathy even. It's kind of, I think, again, it's another journey, another change that
it's
we
changed
have to
everything. It's far bigger than I have expected. It's affected like so many different systems.
I definitely found that with, you know, I've had so many high pressure jobs, and I've never felt stressed in my life. And I've always been able to deal with things. And I've always been able to sleep, and I've never taken worries about work to bed.
No, the anxiety has been like, I would have never said 10 years ago that I ever had anxiety.
No.
But like anxiety, brain fog, lack of concentration. That's just a few.
I've definitely been suffering from those. And, you know, I got misdiagnosed with anxiety disorder a couple of months ago and got given a whole load of antidepressants. And then when I went and said, I think this is perimenopause. They just doubled my antidepressant dose.
Oh, that's terrible.
I just kind of went, I don't think I want to take. I mean, first of
Yeah.
all, they made my sleep worse. So
Right.
I couldn't sleep even more.
Wow.
And I thought,
that's not really helping.
okay,
Yeah.
that's really not something I'm going to
Yeah.
keep doing to myself. And when I went on holiday, I kind of forgot to take them. So then I just didn't take them. I continued not
Yeah.
taking them. And I sleep better.
Mm.
I don't sleep well, but I sleep better.
You sleep better. That's interesting.
And I think that was when I went to a menopause specialist. She said, yeah, you're very, according to convention, you're quite young. You're only 41, so they will think that, you know, you're too young for perimenopause, which
Yeah.
is what I have been
Yeah.
hearing for the last,
Yeah.
I've been asking for the last 2 years. Something's not feeling right. Something's
Yeah.
not feeling right.
But actually, perimenopause can start anywhere from 34.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a range. And
Yeah.
also some blood tests will be normal or inconclusive. And I think when they did blood tests, they thought, well, doesn't sound something.
I think it also depends on like what stage in the month or your cycle you're at and how that affects the results of the blood test. And
it's funny because I wasn't asked to go at any specific time.
Yeah, I don't know
You're
that
just
they-
asked to go whenever
Yeah.
go get a blood test,
Yeah,
and
that's what they're
you don't know what they're looking for.
Mm.
But also sometimes it's not manifesting physiologically, so it's pathologically. So you're not going to see it in a blood test.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what the menopause specialist said to me, that it can this is being treated as a psychological thing, and I can see why, but because of your other symptoms, and I think that you should look into HRT and other sort of tools to manage menopause. I mean, HRT is not the only thing, but
Yeah.
if I can sleep, I will take anything. Because I can't sleep right now, and that's the bit that's probably fueling all the other symptoms, because it just reminds me of when, you know, you have a newborn baby and you haven't slept, but at least when you have a newborn baby, you can just go back to bed.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
I can't do that in the middle of a meeting.
Mm.
I'm just gonna. I'm sorry. I
good sleep
just
is
want to
so
sleep because I can't pay attention.
important. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, it's another reason to be really mindful about listening to my body, and I think you know, from 2018 where I was in pain, chronic IBS, always feeling bloated, always getting ill because of that.
Yeah.
To now, I think it's been a journey of really listening to my body, looking at what helps, and like not just blindly following, you know, what other people are doing or what my friends are doing, because again, I've realized my body is different, and I need to be very mindful about what
Amazing.
my body likes. Like loads of people love cardio.
Yeah.
I am not made for cardio.
Yeah.
Well, I will lift heavy weights and build muscle, which is, as you age, probably a better thing to do.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm getting the benefits of cardio. It does increase my heart rate. It does.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
still get cardio from lifting weights. Yeah.
So it's that sort of stuff, looking at what works for me and what works for my body and my life, rather than conventional wisdom about exercise or diet.
Well, you found what works for you. You found it along your journey, and like what is your best.
It's definitely, I think,
life.
Listening to your body.
Yeah.
And trusting yourself. I think.
Yeah.
You know what's good for you.
That's true.
I know people will tell you, and it doesn't help when medical practitioners tell you you're overthinking something.
Yeah, that's not really reassuring.
But yeah, I think as women, you're generally in tune with your body, so you kind of know what it feels like. So yeah, I think that's been my biggest learning, is just like listening to my body and what it's saying to me.
That's great. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you.
So I think we're going to chop up some cabbage and some carrots, and then we'll show how we put it together. And
we can put a timer on just to see that, you know, it really doesn't take very long to do.
We can check how long it takes. We're going to make what, sauerkraut?
Yeah, just
okay. So what are you doing?
So I'm squashing. We put salt. We've thinly sliced cabbage, grated carrot. We're just tossing it up with salt. So basically you squash it with your fingers as much as you can till you start to see the water beginning to form at the bottom of it. It hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
But at some point it'll start to release water. And when it looks like, I don't know, 2 or 3 tablespoons worth.
Okay, we're back. So we have chopped up 1 white cabbage, maybe a quarter of a white cabbage, and half of a Savoy cabbage. How many carrots did you put in?
2 big carrots. We
2 big
grated 2 big carrots, and we put in about half a tablespoon of salt, and
That's it?
Yeah. You only need 2% of the weight of the vegetables.
Okay.
And
we did pink peppercorns?
Pink peppercorns and fennel. Then you squash them, really squash them, get your hands in there. I mean, wash your hands first. Get your hands in there, squash them, and when the vegetables start to release water and you'll start to see them sort of the water collect at the end of your bowl, then you pack the jars with and you really squish them in.
Okay, cool. We're gonna go pack them and we'll show you the final jars. So here we have our finished sauerkraut. It's in an old jar, Vita cocoa, but yeah.
So you pack it in, you squish it down till you start to see the water that comes up. So keep squashing your vegetables down, and we weighed them down with the butts of the cabbage, the bits that you never use anyway, to sort of weigh them down so that the salt water stays up and cuts off the oxygen from the vegetables, which will help them ferment. Otherwise you're going to start to see mold growing in them.
Hopefully not. Okay, amazing.
But yeah, it took us
15, 20 minutes
max. Yeah. But we faffed a bit.
We did faff a bit, yeah. Okay.
But yeah, that's how easy it is.
Thank you.
To make.
I've never fermented before. I did it with you 2 weeks ago. Was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
About that.
It's good fun.
Yeah. No, thank you for joining me in the chat, and
thank you for having me. It's been great.
We talked about it, and yeah, I'm sure we'll. All right.
Thank you.